Hey guys, welcome to my channel, and if you don't know me, my name is Alexis. I'm 19 and I'm currently 35 and 6 days pregnant, so 36 weeks pregnant with my little boy, and I'm going to tell you a story about how I thought my water broke. I believe my water broke when I was 34 weeks pregnant. One night I had woken up and I went to the bathroom, and when I came back to bed, I was laying in the bed and it felt kind of cold, and so I looked and it was like this wet spot and it was kind of big, and I was like, oh, like maybe it was my fiance Giovanni, like he got really sweaty, like he's like such like warm bodied. I thought he got like really sweaty in his sleep and it was like he like sweat on the bed or something. But we were like both kind of like laying on it, and I was like, okay, whatever, and I went back to sleep. So a couple days passed and I woke up and I went to the bathroom, and when I came back it was kind of cold and I noticed the wet spot again. It was smaller and it was more located just where I was at, and I was just like, oh, okay, like maybe it's just like discharge or something, because if you're pregnant, like this is TMI, like if you don't want to know about this stuff, I'm sorry, but maybe it's just discharge or something. And I couldn't tell what it was because my sheets on my bed were like red and it's just like a dark spot. So I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. And so I just like shook it off again, and then that was like 3 in the morning, and at 7 in the morning I woke up and I was just laying in bed and I felt a little gush, and I swore I felt it come out of, you know, not where you pee, my hole where baby's gonna come from. And so then I looked and it was this wet spot and it was about the size of my hand, and I was like, oh my god. So then I took a picture of it next to my hand, and I'm in this mom group on Facebook. So I go to the Facebook mom group and I post it, and I'm telling them the story, how it happened a couple days ago, then it happened really early this morning, and now it's happening again, except this time I felt a gush and I wasn't sure what it was and how far along I was and if I should be concerned. And at least 50 women probably commented on it, and they all told me that it sounds like my water and that I need to go into labor and delivery, and girls were telling me that's how their water broke, that's what it felt like. And I was like, oh, I thought when your water broke, like it was either like a gush or it was like slow continuous leaks. And there's this thing that you can do where you can put on a pad and you lay down for 30 minutes to an hour, and when you stand up, if you feel a gush and your pad is wet, not just a little bit wet, but like if it's like wet, then it's most likely your water or your amniotic fluid, which is like the same thing. And so I was like, what the heck? And so I went, and I don't have any pads because I don't have periods, and so I went and I had panty liners. I put a panty liner on, I went and I laid down, and Gio woke up and I told him about it, and he was not really that concerned, and I was like kind of like starting to freak out because I wasn't that concerned about it, but all these girls kept telling me that like it sounds like your water broke, and they were telling me that's how their water broke, that's how it was. And I was like, so you just had a little gush and then like nothing? And one lady was telling me that that's what she had, a little gush. She was trying to walk around to get more to come out, and it was like nothing was coming out or anything. And so I was like, oh my god, like my water broke and I'm only 34 weeks. And so I lay down with the panty liner, and when I finally got up, it was nothing, it was dry. And it was on Mother's Day actually. And so I went and I got ready and we went with Gio's family, and I felt dry the whole time. I did feel kind of nauseous, which is supposedly another sign of like labor, and I was like psyching myself out because my belly is already like really hard just because I'm pregnant. But I was thinking maybe I was having like contractions and I just couldn't feel it, and that's why my belly was so hard. But I wasn't saying anything, I was just trying to remain relaxed. And when I felt another little gush at their house, like I went to the bathroom and I couldn't really tell what it was, and my panty liner was like mostly dry. So I'm like, okay, like it's probably nothing. And all these women are like keep posting on my thread on the Facebook group, and they're like, have you found out? Do you have any updates? Like please update me, we're worried. And I'm like, I'm not gonna go in today. And then I went home and I told my grandma about it because I was really like freaked out about it. But I didn't feel like I was leaking anything. I didn't have like no contractions, no bleeding. My mucus plug didn't fall out. Baby was moving, so I wasn't concerned. It was just these girls were psyching me out. And Gia wasn't really concerned either. So I told my grandma, and my grandma started psyching me out too. And I was like, I really don't think it's my water. But I had Googled it, and if it is my water, like I do need to go in because after 24 hours I can get an infection, or the baby can get an infection, and that's the only reason I was worried. And I also read that contractions don't start right away. Contractions can start 24 hours plus after your water breaks. And so I was worried that like it probably broke and I wasn't sure, and then I was gonna give my baby an infection, and I wasn't having contractions yet, but like they could still not be happening. Like contractions like don't have to be happening right now for it to be my water. And my grandma was like, well, like I can take you if you want. And I was like, no, I'm fine, I'm fine. So then I go to bed, and then my grandma calls me like an hour later because she was Googling it, and she basically tells me what I just told her about all the infection stuff. And I'm like, I was literally telling you that downstairs. And she's like, yeah, so like I can take you. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna go. I don't think it is. I'll wait until the morning and see, because then it will be 24 hours and we'll see if I leak again or if I start getting contractions. So I waited till the morning, and I didn't leak and I didn't have any contractions. And I started thinking, I was like, maybe I just peed myself, because the only times this has happened, I was asleep or like mostly asleep, and I had to pee really, really bad. Like I was holding my bladder, and I was like mostly asleep though. There was that part of me that was awake, that was only awake because I knew I had to pee really bad, but I was like too lazy to go get up. And sorry, my dog's being obnoxious. And so I was like, maybe I just peed, because I was half asleep and then I woke up and saw the spot. So maybe I peed and then woke up out of my sleep. And so I also looked at my panty liners. Me and Gio looked at it, and it looked just like a little bit of pee. Like it was kind of like yellow tinged, and amniotic fluid is not yellow tinged. So I was like, okay, like it must be pee. And they say amniotic fluid smells like sweet, so I had Gio smell the bed where the wet spot was, and he said it didn't smell like anything, which would make sense because I was drinking a lot of water, so my pee shouldn't smell like real like acidic or anything. It was mostly like clear pee. And so I just waited, and that's the next couple days later I had my appointment with my specialist, and they were talking about baby's growth and how baby was starting to slow in his growth, which if you want to know more about that, you can go to my bump date and watch that, which will have information on that. It will be my 33 to 35 week bump date. And my grandma was like freaking out, thinking that maybe my water did break, and that's why baby was slowing growth. Although that doesn't make any sense, like that does not affect his growth. But she was like, let me just mention it, and I kept telling her no, because like I was really sure it wasn't my water, and like I was fine, and I didn't want her to go telling the doctor I peed myself. And so then she goes, yeah, well, she woke up to like wet spots on the bed, and then also when the doctor was doing the ultrasound, like she said his fluid was fine. So I was like, okay, good. Like they should be able to tell that stuff, right? And so my grandma told her that I woke up to wet spots on the bed, and the doctor goes, no, his fluid is fine, she just pee-peed. And I'm like, told ya. Basically, I thought my water broke for a little bit, but really I just peed my bed. Luckily I didn't go into like labor and delivery like saying that my water broke, and it was really just pee. Of course, if you ever have this experience and you're pregnant, if you're in doubt, go to the hospital. Like, it's better to be safe than sorry. Follow your gut. But my gut was telling me that it didn't break, and all the signs and symptoms were telling me that it didn't break. And the only thing that made me think it was that I wasn't exactly sure what the fluid was, and because everyone was psyching me out except Gio. That is my story about how I almost had my baby prematurely at 34 weeks. Almost had him. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this little story. I'm sure I'm not the only one who has experienced this. If you're pregnant, you've probably had scares like this as well. Don't forget to like this video, comment because I love responding to you guys, and subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.